G'day guys, I'm Aaron from Guesty's Adventures. I bought a what? I didn't buy a Jeep. So it's been a busy couple of months in the Guesty Adventures household. Obviously the Jeep is now gone and I now have the 2021 Toyota Fortuner as our new noble steed. There's a lot of reasons why we moved away from the Jeep. The Jeep was 10 years old, off-road, quite capable. On-road it was starting to get some of those niggling issues that you see with the Jeeps in any way. So in the current environment with the COVID tax and all that fun stuff, we got a decent price on selling and upscaled to the new model facelifted Fortuner. For those that don't really know, so a Fortuner is basically a kind of hybrid between a Toyota Hilux and a Prado. So internally it's very, very similar to the SR5 Hilux. And then the rear end suspension wise is very similar to a Prado. Ronnie Dahl does a couple of good videos comparing the two vehicles, which I recommend you having a quick watch if you're keen and interested. But realistically, between a Prado and one of these, there's not too much different other than in standard driving configuration, this is a two-wheel drive, whereas the Prado is always an all-wheel drive. Other than that, it's basically the fuel tank. If you want the 130 litres versus the 80 litres, that's your choice. Plus the extra $20,000 for Prado. We moved away from the Jeep Wrangler because I was getting those niggling issues with reliability from the diesel, as well as a little bit of ongoing issues that if you've seen me around in the tracks and stuff like that, I'll constantly talk about with regards to suspension on the vehicle. I've now moved away from the solid front axle and gone to independent, and to be perfectly honest, with the type of driving that I do, 100% happy with that choice, and the comfort is amazing. So under the hood, it's got the same 150 kilowatt and 500 newton meter engine that both the Hilux and Prado have. That is the class leading 2.8 diesel. Obviously plenty of room under the bonnet. Infra-dual battery, which is new for me, noting that the Jeeps had no room whatsoever to get anything extra under there. Already I've installed a few items, which is why we've got the a nice little access hole for the wireless dongle for my winch. So inside the vehicle, very similar to a Hilux, like I was saying, with the upgraded entertainment system. This vehicle is very slightly different with the flappy paddles, which the Hilux doesn't have, and it's the same DPF with the manual and automatic override after the class lawsuit with Toyota. This vehicle comes standard with keyless start, which is a nice little feature. And yeah, quite happy. It also comes standard with diff lock and downhill assist control, and lots of options for accessories through a number of the spare faceplates throughout the dash. I've already got the Red Arc tow controller fitted for the Caravan, which we'll be using heavily in the next month or so. So as mentioned earlier, I've already fitted the Ironman bull bar, as well as the 12,000 pound Ironman winch, which I've set up to be able to operate wirelessly. From my understanding, that bull bar itself is probably maybe the first of about maybe a handful in Australia to be put onto the facelift model. It's actually the old bar for the new front end. So there's a lot of unusual stuff going on in the forums about, oh, the gap is ginormous, don't do it. That's only about a finger width gap for me, and compared to what the Jeep actually was, that was sort of in the realms of an inch in any way. They don't actually cut the bottom of the grill off like some have. and I've got plenty of room to not interfere with the badge, which is actually the radar and the bar, so no issues whatsoever from that front. And by the end of next week I'll have a couple of 8.5-inch spotties in the way there as well, which from my understanding do not affect the radar either. So I'll keep you posted with that, but the upgrades are coming thick and fast, as we've got a trip up north in the caravan planned. I've also got the Safari snorkel, which is I believe it's the HS 156 SS. A lot of people, once again, oh, they're not going to fit, but you know, do your own homework, email the company and ask them, does it fit the new vehicle? And you'll get an answer sooner rather than later, rather than just pondering and being negative on the forums and everything. Obviously, with the type of four-wheel driving that I was doing, the standard tires that come with it weren't going to cut the mustard, so I upgraded pretty rapidly to the larger 265/70 17s, and I went back with the Cooper AT3s. These are an LT. My last model on the Jeep was the XLT, so they don't make them in that size for this vehicle. So I've lost a little bit of the sidewall sort of gnarliness as such, but I've still got the same tread pattern on the road, and I was extremely happy with those. I did about 50,000 Ks in the Jeep, and I don't get any rubbing. So the biggest issue that people have is apparently larger tires like to rub on that mudguard. You can see there I've got about an inch at the back, if you can get the light in there properly, and that mudguard is literally 2 10mm bolts. So if you need to, just take it off and you got another centimeter. So not sure what the issue is with that either, but I'll mention it later. But there's some unusual people on the old Fortuner page, I think because it's kind of not as I guess a common four-wheel drive. So already in the back I've taken there was sort of the third row seats. They fold upwards. They're a pain in the butt. I'm married, I've got a dog, I don't need, you know, 6 and 7 seats in the vehicle. So they came out. I was going to make a video. They are a pain in the butt to take out. So it's like 5 bits of trim and 3 bolts. 2 of the bolts are easy as anything to get out, and one of them you get about maybe 12 degrees of purchase on a spanner to get it off. So that single bolt on each side took about maybe 45 minutes, and you would have seen a sweaty Guesty like fighting chairs and swearing and everything like that to just get the chairs out. So I didn't make a video on that in the end, but if you go into any of the forums, it's got, you know, videos and little photos to show you how to get them out. They're now stashed in the spare room, and what that does expose is there's 4 hooks on the floor, sort of, that the chairs will clip into, that the drawers can then secure to. So I've got a couple of bits of 2x1 in there. You can buy it from like Bunnings in a length of like 2.4 meters or something like that. I think it was like $15 in 2 meter lengths, which is the same width as these drawers. And if you're looking to go down the Titan draw path, I don't usually endorse that brand whatsoever, but I've previously made my drawers in the Jeep custom, and they were about $430 to buy and build with heartache. And these bad boys, I think I ended up paying about $460. And they've got the better latches, they've got the fridge slides, got the mounts, got the locks, everything's good to go. And it's got a little bit of a warranty covered with it, even though I probably won't pursue a warranty for that. The only thing you have to do is with the wings at the side, you might have to jigsaw them out a little bit so they actually fit in properly. I'll grab this and we'll show you what I'm talking about. So the wings itself, I had to cut probably about maybe an inch off the edge up here so it fit with the side of that, and that's not very hard. You just make it a bit of a surround with like a Coke box or something like that to figure out the gap, as well as trim a little bit off here, and then they naturally come in. The actual model for these, when you're going onto the website, is I think it's just small wagon. I think they're out of a Prado, like a 120 Prado, but to be honest, like they all fit nicely in there. I've raised it a little bit. I've painted this wood here so it looks nice, and that just clears the lip here. So you need about 18mm to clear that lip, as well as the latch. Otherwise, you get to the point where it will grind and scratch over here. But perfectly honest, good to go. So future plans for the truck. It's happening fast and rapidly, so I don't have a lift on it yet. So I've got I think it's a 35mm lift, a Bilstein shock and spring lift. It's either 35 at the front and 25 at the back or something like that. And then I'm also going to get some poly air airbags just for the potential sag that the caravan will provide. As I've alluded to, I've got a huge trip coming up, which will see us shoot up the guts of WA, head to Broome, Kununurra, back through Exmouth, a couple of nights in Quobba, Kalbarri, and all those little stops along the way. So we're going to do a little bit of a series on that. So hopefully you join us along. So it's the wife and I, and you can see how capable actual four-wheel drive is for that. The caravan, I've got a little mini pop top, so it's a Jayco Swift Outback, a 2020 model. So once again, those Jayco fanatics with those, quirky little vans, you'll see how that operates off-road and how it goes, and see how off the grid we can actually get. With the remainder of the mods, the dual battery system, so it's going to that gap in front of the passenger seat pretty rapidly. With a Red Arc BC-DC charger. Also got the 8.5-inch spotties that I'll be chucking on the front. GME XRS UHF radio is going in, and I think that's about it for now. So the one thing that I haven't really come to the conclusion of where I want to go with regard to this is the roof rack and awning combination. So once I have that, that is the final thing that matches everything that the Jeep had to what this has had. I love having an awning on the car. I hate having a roof rack on the car. Yes, it is good to put max tracks up there, but I'm not a fan of the platforms. All the platforms have obviously recently had a little bit of an issue online, so I'm steering away from those at the best of times in any way. But then I don't want the wind noise that's up there 90% of the time for a rack. Rackless Awnings has reached out for a vehicle after their little up top trip, so this might be the one that goes in for the trial run with regards to that for the awning. But then I've still got the max track situation where do I put them? I don't really like chucking them in the back seat, especially if I want to go to the beach, the dog needs to be there because she's 30 kilos. Initial thoughts with the vehicle, I absolutely love it. Like, I've literally taken years out of my back because of the Jeep. The ride compared to the Jeep is phenomenal. So soft and so smooth. IFS front end, yes, I'm losing articulation. I'm not necessarily losing capability, which I kind of was scared about, but then I had to keep reassuring myself that the reason I'm moving away from the Jeep is because I drive the vehicle 90% on the road. 10% of it is going to be touring and off-road combined. And yes, I do a little bit harder stuff, but it's not like extreme, which young 20-year-old Guesty thought he was going to have when he had the Jeep. So love it from that side of things. The adaptive cruise control when towing is like a life changer. So I can set the distance that I sit off a vehicle. So the other day it was raining, I was towing the caravan up to get a service, and it would sit back and hold a distance and slow down. So I live south, I had to drive sort of into the city almost, and no issues whatsoever with regard to towing in the rain. I barely touched the accelerator or the brake, it just did it all for me. Dogs are going nuts. Probably me. The other thing that it's got as well is it's got the lane departure assist. It was a little bit violent on this to start with. Rhonda's got a new car as well, and hers is quite aggressive when it pulls in. I found a setting in here, you can actually alter the sensitivity. So we've turned it down quite dramatically. I think it's on the lowest setting now. So when you go towards a line, it will sort of just come in rather than jag in, because I don't want it to really pull, especially when I'm towing, even though it's got a sway control for the tow vehicle now as well. So final thoughts at the moment, like I was saying, I really love the car. It's unusual to find truthful information out there with a lot of things at the moment. Obviously being a facelift model, there's a lot of sort of restrictions with actual truthful information about bars, wheels, and the lifts you can get out here. Fortuner wise, there was a guy, I believe he lived sort of like Hunter Valley region or something like that. He was going around with 33s on his vehicle. Fits at the back pretty well fine. At the front though, you got to do a little bit of panel work to make it fit where that mud flap was. But he had a tuned Fortuner with 33s on it, easy. He's just bought a new Patrol. I can't quite remember his name. But I'll put it up in below here, but some of his videos show the actual capability of the vehicles. Like I was saying, with the forums, it's quite unusual. There's, compared to Jeeps, which were generally rolling around on 35-inch tires and 4-inch lifts, going to these, I've kind of stepped back in that sort of like extreme four-wheel drive world, and you have to actually figure out what you're actually after. And I understand that not everyone who's driving a Fortuner wants the four-wheel drive. Some people actually have 7 passengers or 7 people in the vehicle at once to go to soccer and stuff like that. I'm not using it for that, and as a result I find a lot of weird stuff of like, that's frustrating almost, that is, oh, I have a dirt driveway, is the car going to be capable enough to go up and down it every day for 10 years? And like, I'm like, okay, well, your XF Falcon Ute could do that, so this can do it, mate. So it's quite frustrating, and I've got to withdraw out of that. But there is a handful of people that are actually using them to their capability. I've got I've actually know about 4 or 5 people that have got these. So one of my neighbours has one, loves it. One of my good mates we did the Holland track with a couple of years ago, he was the lead vehicle and it didn't miss a beat the whole time. And I've got a couple of mates east with them as well. Other than the DPF issue that was Prado and Hilux and Fortuner wide across Australia with the class lawsuit associated with it, there has been no issues with this vehicle. The DPF issues have basically been resolved since, I think it's September of last year, and that's why we now have the 150 kilowatt and 500 Nm engine, as it was tuned down a little bit more because the DPF wasn't as effective. Other than that, I hope you follow me on over the next couple of weeks with regard to the final modifications that I have for the vehicle. Hopefully you'll also join us on the trip series that we do up north, which should be quite good. I'm still trying to figure out how I want to set it up because I don't want to be recording every day for 5 weeks, or you know, doing editing or anything like that. It might be sort of 3 or 4 episodes that may be like 25 minutes long each or something like that. But yeah, for all those little snippets along the way, don't forget to follow me on Instagram under Guesty's Adventures, and yeah, you'll be able to see all the little snippets along the way. Other than that, if you've got any questions about the build or the trip, or any suggestions whatsoever with where we should go when we go up north, you know, jump in, slide into the DMs as such, and yeah, I'll look into it, and yeah, that's about it. Stay safe, guys.